Students, we're going to talk about the graphing calculator. This is part 2. In the last lesson, which you can find in lesson 4, the last calculator video, I talked about the home screen, the keys, and where the menu screens were located. Now we want to talk about the graphing feature of the calculator. Okay, I turned my video off, and now I have two calculators here, the 83 and then the 84. Both of them are very good for your course. What I'm going to do is just move the 83 out of the way, and we'll concentrate. I'll just use the 84 as an example. So now remember your operation keys, your number keys, some of your function keys. This is your clear. I call these your Game Boy keys, up, down, left, and right. And now our graphing keys. So the first thing that we need to do when we're talking about understanding the graphing part of the calculator is to talk about these 5 keys at the top. So the first key is I call the equation editor, the y equal key. Let me zoom in on that. Okay, so again, the y equal key I'll refer to as the equation editor. We have the window key, the zoom key, the trace key, and the graph key. Remember that when I talk about hitting certain buttons. Now what I'd like to do is I would like to talk about the standard screen. The standard screen. The way to do that is just turn your calculator on. That's the lower left hand side. And let me get rid of this function here. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to hit zoom 6. Now let me do that again. Zoom. If you notice the number 6 down there, that's standard. You could either hit the number 6 or just hit enter. Now you're realizing that there's more features than this calculator has, but if you can always start with what you know and what you need to know first and go out into other areas, that's a good idea. Now what's special about this is if you look at your calculator, you'll notice that there's a region here that is a hot region for the pixels to be highlighted, and you will notice that if you count very carefully, the tick marks 1, 2, 3, that goes to 10. That would be negative 10, 10, and 10. Okay? Now you could tell I don't go to a manicure, but that's okay. All right, now, so I call this the standard screen or the 10, 10, 10, 10 screen. Now notice I can also use my Game Boy keys. I can also use my Game Boy keys to find my way around the screen. Notice I'm in quadrant 1 where the X and Y are both positive. Now I'm in quadrant 4 where the X is positive and the Y is negative. So again, this is my standard screen. I can go anywhere on my standard screen. And these items right here we call coordinates. And I can get to that information using this blue format feature, which we don't have to talk about right now. All right. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to talk about some basics about functions. So if everybody would hit your equation editor, that is this guy right here, and don't worry about my messed up over here. Sorry. Okay, now let's put in here x squared. X squared. I could hit X. Whenever I want an X, I hit this key right here. Okay? X is right here, blank. X squared. I could use the fraction, the caret key, and say X squared, or I could go and hit the X, and then notice what key I'm going to press over here. I'm going to press the X squared key right here, And notice I have a nice looking x squared right there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph that. So I'm going to press the graph key. Oh, what a beautiful picture. Let's take a look here. There's my parabola in all of its glory. What I can do is I could press the trace button and I can use my Game Boy key and go up and down on my function, and it'll show me the x and y coordinate of that function. That's very neat. Or I could just press the number 2. If I press the number 2 and hit enter, it is going to find that location on the graph, tell me where it is, and tell me its y coordinate. Again, that's a very, very powerful feature. So that's the basic idea of a function. Now, before we go any further, I need to tell you a little bit about the table. The table right here. When I hit second graph, I have before me a table. And what I'm going to do is, you know, before you go sit down at dinner, you got to set your table. So I'm going to go second table set. And I'm going to ask my table to start at 1. And this means how far do you want your table to go up. Now I want to look at my table, so I want to go here. I'm going to press second graph. Now if you notice my table, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9. Okay, it's very neat. Also, you can go backwards. Then, okay. So there is a table of values, and you could see that the function is x squared. That's the process I'm working on. Also notice I'm indicating over here what the domain value is. So keep that in mind. Let me go back to my graph. Alright, I need to tell you about the window, so I'm going to press window. I want to tell you about everything about this so that you feel comfortable and there's no mystery or anything. I'm going to blow that up nice and big so everybody could see that. Not exactly too focused, but whatever. Alright. So this value is telling you the minimum for the x, the maximum of the x, how far I want my tick marks to be arranged, the y values, the y scale, and I'm going to go down a little bit. 1, this resolution, this is telling me how fast I want my graph to occur. It goes from 1 to 10, I believe, but I'm going to put 9 right here. And I don't know what happened here. Go to. Obviously, I think it's 8 is the maximum. I'm going to hit graph. Now you see how ugly that graph was? That's because it did not plot a lot of points. So if you would go to your window and make sure that's always on 1, you'll be in good shape. You may need that later on at some point. So I'm going to hit graph. What a beautiful situation. One little warning about the calculator, it doesn't have an undo button, so you really do need to know what you're doing with the calculator. Alright, what else do I want to say? You could go to your window and change these numbers. For example, what if I changed the y minimum to 0? Can you imagine what the graph would be? Well, we'll just press graph. What if I changed the x minimum to -5 and the x maximum to 5? How would it change the appearance of the graph? Okay. Now, folks, that is basically, that's a work of art right there. What I want to do is I want to share with you the following information. The graphing calculator is a powerful tool, and I want you to feel free using it. Take your time, and on the next video, if I get enough feedback, I will try to show you some more features things that you've asked about. So I wish you well. Don't forget to bring your calculator with you on your midterm. Hope this helps. Bye.